And the verse that I am going to be talking about with you viewers today is Amos chapter 8 verse 11, where Amos the prophet had stated, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord." Now, of course, if we read verse 12 of Amos chapter 8, there were more details described there. People will be running from the north even to the east, to and fro, to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. But why were these last days, the time that we're living in, described as a famine? What does it mean that the truth will not necessarily be found? Well, we'll discuss physical famines first. In Genesis chapters 41 to 45, that was where the famine was raging, and there was Joseph, who was a big person, a prime minister in Egypt and everything, and he knew from all his visions and revelations and dreams in Genesis chapter 37, etc., that there was going to be a famine of 7 years, and because of Joseph's understanding of this, he saved up so that when it was time for the famine and everything, then he could have enough food for not only his land, but also for the lands of Israel and stuff, who would be suffering a lot from that famine. And it was not only in Joseph's time that the famine happened, because Jesus Christ, when he was on this earth, there was also some kind of famine, but it wasn't a physical famine. It was a spiritual famine, because evil had taken over the Jewish traditions and stuff to the extent that there was almost no righteousness in it. And therefore, there was kind of a famine. Which was why when Jesus Christ came, even though he was the Son of God, he was preaching the gospel message, because it had been overreached by Satan the devil. The cures to everybody's problems, wanted peace and stuff, they were right in front of him. And it was really only few people mentioned in Matthew chapter 11 and verses 25 and 26 that were aware of the fact that he was the Messiah and the other details that go with that. And similarly, in the time that we are living in, the last days, there is a famine of the truth. Spirituality as a whole will lose its value. This is how in a famine, you lose food. With the truth in the last days, it's losing its value, so that when people hear that you're a Christian or you're religious, it doesn't come with that honor or respect that it came with long ago. It's like how people who call themselves Jews now, it's not as valuable as back then when God was with the Jews. And then people, when you heard Jews, it was like, oh, these people have God. And therefore, in order to go through this period successfully, we have to study the truth the way the virgins would have oil in their lamps, and extra oil in Matthew chapter 25 from verses 1 to 13, so that we are not going to be drowned out of all the food in the spiritual famine in the time we are living in, but rather we will have enough to have faith in God's plan, so that we're not swept away by the things of the world. It's going to lose its value in the sense of the Bible will still be everywhere, but people will not care about it all that much. It's just going to be something that's there on the internet or in other places, but it will lose its value. But we do not want to be carried away with it, because that's only happening for a purpose, and that is not to destroy his children. Rather, we should be a part of the group in Revelation chapter 19 from verses 1 to 5 that decided to be celebrating what God is doing instead of being carried away by it. If we read Luke chapter 17 from verses 26 to 30. I hope we now understand what Amos chapter 8 verse 11 means, which once again states, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord." Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. Most importantly, please try to subscribe, share this video, and click the notification bell if you have not already to be notified when we make future verse breakdowns just like this. Thank you for listening.